Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're back into, say it with me, revenge. That's right. I picked up the updated version when I was in London for the coronation, and I now have the new chapter. It's chapter 44, Reconciliation Rejected. So originally I just had the 43 chapters. This is the additional one in the I guess in the paperback version here. So I thought we could read through it. This is the second part. I released another one. Go back and find that for the beginning. And we're going to wrap up this chapter. It's, nothing huge, no huge revelations yet, but I'm still enjoying the heck out of rediving. Is that a word? Diving back in to revenge. And I'm excited to see where else he goes. Now, we were promised some Doria info. I'm hoping that's coming. I have not read ahead. We're reading together. So let's dive right back into Revenge. So if you're keeping up with me, we are on page 421 of Revenge, and it's Reconciliation Rejected, like I say. Okay. So they were really holding out hope that Spare was going to relaunch them into the stratosphere, it sounded like. Bauer goes into to engineer success across book, podcast, docuseries, and everything. It depended upon their continued visibility. So in early September, with the Queen still at Balmoral and increasingly hidden from the public eye, they embarked on a tour across Europe, accompanied by their Netflix crew, continuing to promote themselves as members of the family that they denounced. So the Sussexes arrived in Dusseldorf on the 6th of September. So Bauer explains that they were so thrilled that the German government treated their visit to the venue for the 2023 Invictus Games as a royal tour, with police, outriders, metal barriers, and a red carpet. Wow. The eager reception in Germany was so much different from that of the previous day in Manchester. The One Young World Conference had lacked magic. Although flags were waved, the anthem played, and speeches read, Netflix would need to tightly edit Meghan's fevered eulogy of self-praise to produce gripping TV. That seems to be the theme with her, these nonsensical word salad speeches where there's no there. So it sounds like they had to do quite a bit of editing to try to get anything interesting out of it. Yet the event did score a landmark. 8 years earlier, Meghan had been squeezed into an unpaid slot at the Dublin conference. In Manchester, she was the star. As Hilary Rose of the Times observed, what a difference a prince makes. Again, I like to point out that she likes to remind us that she's a feminist and accepts feminist awards, and yet still uses the title that she had to obtain through marrying a man. So, yeah, none of it just continues to ring false. The Sussexes were back at Frogmore Cottage on Wednesday the 7th of September. In Balmoral the previous day, the Queen had met with the outgoing Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and welcomed his successor, Liz Truss. Okay, so that's that picture we got of the Queen where she was working. It was right before she passed away. She seemed to be very frail, but I love the Queen so much. She was still working hard up until the end, it sounded like. Then, unexpectedly, during the morning of 8th of September, a phone call to Harry revealed that the Queen was unfortunately passing away. So according to Bauer, a private jet was ready and waiting for Harry to fly him with his brother William to Aberdeen to see the Queen before she passed away. The news caused turmoil at Frogmore because why wouldn't it, right? Of course it did. Now, according to Bauer, at Meghan's suggestion, Harry insisted that he would be accompanied by his wife. And that plan was broadcast to journalists at 1:53 p.m. You guys, I'm just sick over this. Can you believe it? Why? Why did he put up with that? Why didn't he just say, I've got to go? It's just how this one is, that kind of thing. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So not only did, again, he's just as guilty as she is. So not only did he insist that he would be accompanied by her, they broadcast it to the journalists, the same people that they pretend to hate. Yeah, those people. Meghan's expectation was astonishing. For 4 years, she had rejected the Queen's invitations to visit Balmoral, but in the last hours of life, Meghan eagerly sought to make the journey. You guys, I am sick over this. That is disgusting and horrible behavior, and I just think William should have just left without Harry. He could figure it out on his own. Firmly, Harry was told that Meghan was not welcome. Unwilling to waste more time, William ordered the RAF jet to take off at 2:39 p.m. Harry is left... Oh, he did leave without him. I forgot about that. Harry was left to hire his own plane and make the journey alone. Good. He landed in Scotland at 6:46 p.m., 14 minutes after the Queen's death had been announced to the public. She died at 3:10 p.m. You guys... I can't even. So... Again, I'm not even just blaming Meghan. It's Harry's fault too. He puts up with this bullshit and goes along with it. So they're equally as awful as each other, but that is horrible. And I'm so glad William made the call and left without Harry. So Harry's festering anger toward William and Charles. Okay, sure. Of course he blames them. Again, have you seen Spare? That's his thing. He doesn't take responsibility or accountability for anything. Neither of them do. It's all about how they feel they were wronged. So it overhung the grief at Balmoral Castle. That night, Harry refused to eat dinner with his father and William. He left before breakfast to catch a commercial flight back to London. His father's recorded TV address to the country the following day ended with an expression of love for his son and Meghan, who continued to build their lives overseas, and it was ignored by Harry. Amid the nation's widespread mourning, the Sussexes decided to remain for the state funeral 10 days later. The long wait was marked by acrimony between Harry, supported by Meghan, and his family. So that's worded weird. So basically, she was supporting the acrimony between him and his family. Again, not a shocker. We've seen this. It's a narcissistic thing, right? Make it all about her. As a private citizen stripped of his military rank, Harry's role was contentious. His demand, I can't believe that asshat is demanding anything at this point, for a formal role wearing his uniform during the funeral was rejected. I love that. So, again, flash forward to coronation, same thing. Simultaneously, the couple hesitated about showing any sign of reconciliation with the Cambridges. Neither Harry nor Meghan had any intention of apologizing for telling inaccuracies to Oprah Winfrey. Their revelations were overcome by Netflix's eye for a touching scene to add to their documentary. Okay, I'm going to stop again and say, you know what else really bugs me about this whole thing? I don't know. I've read reports that allegedly it's Catherine that got punished the worst because Catherine and the Queen had a very tight relationship. Catherine really wanted to be there to say goodbye to the Queen as well. But because of this whole bullshit nonsense, putting their foot down, keeping Meghan away, Catherine ended up having to stay away as well. And if that's the case, fuck these people even harder. How about that? You know? I mean, yeah, just the worst of the worst. It's like, I can't wrap my head around how anybody could feel anything but just disgust with these two. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Thankfully, William, the new Prince of Wales, took the initiative. Aware of the crowds gathered outside Windsor Castle, he agreed to meet the loyal well-wishers. The optics would be hugely improved, William realized, if he and Catherine were joined by the Sussexes. After a difficult conversation, Harry agreed. Okay, so I had heard this a little differently, and I'm sure you have too, and you can leave me comments and let me know what you think. I had heard that what it was Harold and Fraud, Hank and Skank. I had heard that Harry and Meghan had this plan that they were going to go on a walkabout and use this time filming for Netflix. And when maybe William and Catherine got wind of it, they said, no, that's not happening. They weren't sure what they would do. They figured they probably were mic'd up. And so they squashed that and said, no, we'll just go together. 2 days after the Queen's death, the two couples greeted the crowd held back by metal barriers. In her perfect actress mode, Meghan smiled, chatted with well-wishers, accepted flowers. The priceless exposure was only once marred by her anger, which showed itself when a helpful aide took some flowers from her. Meghan flashed irritation at the image of her being deluged by blooms being ruined. I love that moment. It's right here. She's pissed, and I just happened to look up. I promise I didn't plan that on purpose. That picture was up there, but she's pissed that her shot got ruined because somebody was trying to help her and took the flowers from her. So after a 40-minute walkabout, the four stood tensely side by side for the media. The final TV shot showed Harry in a car before being driven back to Frogmore. Angrily, what else is new? That's the only emotion he can express. He exhaled his breath as if exhausted by the charade. Talk of reconciliation in olive branches by the media was phony. Catherine barely looked at Meghan. You know what? Good for her. I love Catherine, you know that. The fact that she even had to waste even a second or get distracted even by a second on these two, again, disgusting. So, yeah, good for Catherine. I love her. Let's see. They exchanged not a sentence in public without a profuse apology from Meghan and Harry, the Cambridges, unwilling to forgive the Sussexes for their dishonesty. On the eve of the funeral, Harry was allowed to wear his uniform once for the vigil at the lying in state at Westminster Hall, along with the Queen's other grandchildren. To his anger, the ER insignia had been removed from his uniform by Buckingham Palace officials. To add to Meghan's irritation, because of course they have to make it all about them, the couple were not invited by the new king to the reception at Buckingham Palace for 500 visiting heads of state and dignitaries after the vigil. The decision was intolerable. Did the king not realize how valuable their presence would have been? Of course, this is sarcasm by way of Tom Bower. Okay, so I'm going to end this here. I'm really not trying to drag this out. I thought it'd be 2 parts. There is a little bit left to go. We'll read through that. I want to give more thoughts on all of this. I want to see what I feel like Tom Bower left out so I can discuss that in the next episode. So check back. Again, as always, thank you so much for being here. I just appreciate you all so much. Your comments, I read them all. I love them so much. You guys are so kind. Just all the support means the whole wide world to me. I really appreciate it. If you want to further support, check out my merch. Recollections may vary. Make it make sense. In a world of Meghan's be a Catherine. I love that saying so much. It's one of my favorites. I have it on all kinds of stuff around my house. But anyway, so check that out. Also, if you want to further support the show, check out Patreon. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer and get your shout out. Speaking of which, I'm going to shout out my executive producers now. So huge thank you to Linda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you to Paige. Huge thank you to Teresa. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Aaron and Frank. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ann M. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ann H. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Glynis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Adair Becker. Thank you to Erica. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Barb G. Thank you to Diana. Thank you, Allison B. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lori. Thank you to Pauline. Thank you to KT. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Stromboli. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Loie. Thank you, Lucy H. Thank you to Georgia. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Robbins Landing. Thank you to Helen. Thank you to Mara. Thank you, Ashley C. Thank you to Molly. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Sand Squid. Thank you to Rach. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Domby. Thank you, Android P. Thank you to Sheena. Thank you, Aaron M. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Spectrum Mom. Thank you, Vanessa B. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Mimi Heathcote. Thank you, Misty. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you to Bree. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you to Elvis Rose here on YouTube. And thank you to Lori. Well, I so appreciate you all. Thank you if you are on the Patreon. Thank you if you're an executive producer. And hey, if you're not, definitely check it out. We have a lot of fun over there. Guys, I hope you have the best day, and I will talk to you again soon. Can't wait to bring you another video like this. Take care. Bye-bye.